Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about a common Rails refactoring pattern called presenter. The presenter pattern is to solve a problem that sometimes we will have a lot of helper methods defined in helpers directory, and these helper methods are going to contaminate the top level namespaces so that we will have a lot of helper methods that we don't want to have access to. So let's take a look at our example here. We have two sets of data, which is from the same source called user model. And let's say our application has two different kinds of logic. One is on the customer side and one is on the business side. If we want to display the contact information for a customer, we will say that we want to display the first name and the initial for the last name. But on the business side, we will display the full name, including their email address at the end. So for these two kinds of presenting logic, we will need to have two different helper methods. So let's take a look at our code. This is the view that we just have. We have customer info helper methods defined in a helper file and a business info helper method defined somewhere else. So we will see that we have two helper files in the helpers directory. One is business helper. We have a business info method that includes the first name, last name, and the email from the users passed in. And we have a customer helper method that called customer info that is presenting the first name and the initial of the last name. This is okay, but as our application gets more and more complicated, we will have a lot of different helper files in this directory. And by default, Rails will include all these helper methods in the view. That sometimes we don't want to use the helper methods that we have. For example, if we're building a shopping cart, then the shopping cart, we might want to present the customer information, but sometimes we don't want to use the business information at all. So in this case, we are using a different pattern than this. So for now, let's just comment out these files. These blocks of code so that we can not use them. So that's in our app directory. Create a new folder called presenters. And then in there, we will have our new file. First one we'll call the customer presenter. So in this customer presenter file, we will have a class called customer presenter. And then we will have a initialize method. And this initialize method will have two different arguments. One is the model and one is the view. And then we will, as usual, assign them to an instance variable. And so for the model variable, we can assign the model record. And for the view variable, we are assigning the view context. So it's kind of a little confusing here that why would we want to assign a view context here? So a view context is somewhere in the view that we will use saying, image URL or SS URL, and then it will render out say HTTP, localhost 3000. If we don't pass in a view context, then it won't check the SS host configuration in our Rails application. So this is why we need that. Okay, so after that, we will actually define the method that we're going to use. So in our case, we are defining an info method that will include the first name and the last name initial. So you may find that it's a little weird so where are we going to retrieve or find the definition of the first name and the last name in our user model? So this is where the magic comes in. We will define a method missing. Method here, if you are not familiar with method missing, it is a method that Ruby will look for when there's an undefined method error. So at this point, we will pass any method that is undefined to our model, like this. So in this case, if we look at here, if we called a first name method here, this customer presenter doesn't have a first name method, so it will go to the model, which is the user we are going to pass in when we initialize. Okay, so let's see in this file. We are replacing this one with customer presenter. Customer presenter dot new, and we will pass in user and the view context, which is self, because we're in the view, and we are presenting info here. Let's save and refresh our file, refresh our view. Okay, sorry. That's something we missed here, which is the business info that we have just commented out. Let's put it here, back here for a while. Refresh, it's there without any changes. Beautiful. So let's do another change in the presenter here. We're doing the same with our business presenter. So we'll say we have created a file here called business presenter. .rb class business presenter, and in order to save some time, I'm going to copy the code we have here to here. We have the model method, initialize method, and then we have the info method, which is going to be a little bit different here because in the business helper, as we can recall, we will have first name, last name, and email. So we will just copy it here to here. So in this case, we don't have user variable as our receiver. So we can delete here and here as well. Because the method missing will handle this for us. So let's save it, and then back to our view, we will delete this part with business presenter.new user.self, and then .info. Save it and then refresh it. Okay, it does the same thing. So in this case, we won't have the problem or for our business helper to contaminate the namespace, and then we can restrict the namespace exactly in the place that we want. In the next episode, we are going to talk about some advanced usage of the presenter and some refactoring pattern to make it more useful and more powerful. Thank you.